Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar as we introduce you to ASTA Destination Expo happening in Croatia. My name is Mia Marcus, and I'm the events coordinator here at ASTA, and I will be the organizer for today's presentation. I'm happy to welcome my partner, Bob Douglin, Vice President of International Membership and Host Agencies, and Managing Director of ASTA Small Business Network, who will be taking you through everything you need to know about ASTA Destination Expo 2020. Before we get started, I'd like to point out a few important features on your screen that will allow you to interact with us via the web. To ask a question, you will use your GoToWebinar pane. Near the bottom of this pane is an area that says Questions. If you click on this arrow, it will open up a window pane, and this is what you can use to communicate with us. If you're having trouble hearing this presentation, please make sure your speakers are turned on, and if you are dialed in, try hanging up and dialing back in. You can send me any technical issues via the questions pane, and I will try to answer them. Please note we will be answering questions at the end of this presentation. I will respond to you via this question pane if you do have any technical issues. Please note that all audience members are muted. We certainly want to hear from you, but we have so many people on the call right now that the background noise would be prohibitive, and we want to ensure that everyone can hear the entire presentation. Finally, remember that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing at asta.org by early next week. Bob, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Mia, and good afternoon to everybody, or good morning if you're on the West Coast, or good evening to those that are over in Europe. We've got over 130 people with us on the call today. That's really exciting, and we've got a tremendous amount of interest in our Destination Expo in Croatia. And yes, it is scheduled for December 3rd to 6th, 2020, and it is taking place. So we are really pleased to be able to share that with you. And, you know, I'd like to kind of get the elephant in the room out of the way right up front. And let's talk about the COVID requirements and what we're going to need in order to safely get over there. Now, the Dubrovnik Tourist Board has sent us this letter, and they're very well aware of the situation that we're facing. And they've also, fortunately, been doing very well in Croatia with this situation. You know, I had the good fortune to be over there doing site inspections in March when all the borders closed, and I could see then that Croatia was already kind of ahead of the game. And as we continue planning this out, it will be done safely and in a manner to make sure that we're taking no chances. And, you know, let's kind of take a look at some of the things that we're doing and what Croatia requires. Now, Croatia is open to the United States citizens for travel since June and have had low numbers through the pandemic. A negative PCR test, a swab test with a negative result within 48 hours of your arrival is required. And if you're connecting through Zagreb, it would be when you land at Zagreb, or if you're going to Dubrovnik, in Dubrovnik as well. Now, one of the things I want to mention, you've heard that, you know, the EU has banned U.S. citizens. Well, that's the EU countries that are in the Schengen zone. The Schengen zone is the single common border entry area. So, you know, we can't go to France, we can't go to Slovenia, we can't go to Germany. Yes, we can connect at the airports, but we can't visit those countries because Croatia is not part of the Schengen agreement. That's the reason that they're open. Plus the fact their numbers are very good and they're safe. Now, you know, one of the issues we've had is turnaround and getting a negative test result. And we've been working closely with our friends and partners in Croatia to see if we can get that 48 hours raised a little bit, and they are working on that. But the good news is that we have contracted with a company, Lab 24, which is located in South Florida, for discounted PCR testing that's going to provide results in less than 24 hours of when it was sent by UPS service. Their normal charge for that is $249. They're charging us $189. That includes overnight shipping. So, for example, you know, if you're leaving on a Thursday, I would go ahead Wednesday, do your self-administered test, go to a UPS drop-off place. Thursday, they'll have the result. They'll process and have it for you that day. So that's really important. Now, I spoke with Lab 24 this morning. They operate 6 days a week, including holidays. And I realize that, you know, the beginning of this is right before or right after Thanksgiving. So it's something to keep in mind. The only days they're not able to provide the tests are the days that UPS is not delivering. So for instance, Thanksgiving Day and Sundays would be the days we have to avoid. So if you were to send your test on Saturday, they would have it Monday. Otherwise, they have it that next day and process it. Now, all the registered attendees are going to have the option to purchase the test kit about 10 days before the event with instructions on how to complete and return it before you leave. Again, it's the option. You don't have to use this. You can use any other lab that will do the PCR swab testing. Remember, you do not want the antibody blood test. It has to be the nasal swab. Now, U.S. citizens can connect at any airport in the EU, but you cannot leave that zone. In other words, you can't go into the country. You can connect in Frankfurt or Paris or London or any of the other cities. Actually, London, you can overnight as long as you quarantine. If anyone is taking Turkish Airlines, and I know we have a few folks that are, they actually have testing in Istanbul Airport if you have enough time to connect. So that's kind of a good hint. There's also no restrictions for American citizens. So if anybody wants to do a stop over there, they can. Now, we are asking everyone to sign a COVID-19 waiver in advance of the event, and me and I are working to get that information out to you. And let's talk about, this Lab 24 and the testing for international flights. Now, they're a full-service nationwide molecular laboratory, and they're specializing in customized programs for international travel. They're also working with a lot of the cruise lines as they start to get back to sailing. So they've got a lot of experience in this area. It's about a 16-year-old company that's been operating in other lab testing areas before COVID. And this is also something that you can resell to your clients if they're traveling as well. And I think as we get into our new normal, I hate to use those words, it's something you may have to think about. Now, a couple of FAQs on this. They do require payment in advance, but you can submit this to your insurance company for reimbursement if they allow. Say Lab 24 was established in 2005. It's a self-administered PCR test, a swab test, which is what Croatia requires. And of course, you can use any other lab or facility. We're just providing this to you as a convenience. And a reminder, they don't operate on Sundays or on holidays, so Saturdays are fine. And you can check more about Lab 24 online. I think it's Lab 24 Inc. So now that we've gotten some of that out of the way, and we'll answer any questions at the end, let's look at the event coming up itself. And really, the purpose of this is a destination expo to learn and sell the destination. And if you look at Croatia on the map, you can see it's quite a large country. Dubrovnik is down here in the corner, the southeastern corner, but the country goes up along the entire Adriatic coast and inland toward the capital Zagreb and even toward the mountains. So, there's a lot to see. There's a lot to do. I love this infographic map that shows the wineries and the churches and the cathedrals and the Roman Colosseums. Here's the woods and the capital city, and my favorite is the prosciutto, the ham that's kind of right here. It's really terrific. Now, who should attend is advisors looking to add to your specialization. People that sell Croatia now looking to expand on their knowledge. And if you're like me, up until March, I'd been in Dubrovnik 3 times, but it was on a cruise ship. And then you're into Dubrovnik with, 5,000 of your best friends. And, it's like St. Thomas at Christmas time, and it gets crowded. So this is a really great opportunity to see Dubrovnik and the coastal cities without the crowd. And it's great for inquiring advisors that want to learn about a new market. Now, the Destination Expo is going to connect you with a lot of local suppliers and vendors in Croatia that you can't find in the United States. Did you know in Croatia, there are a lot of coastal cruises on beautiful boutique cruise lines that just go along the coast of Dubrovnik on small yachts. And you'll have a chance to meet these kind of providers when we're over there. And it gives you a home base and a network of partners to help fulfill your clients' trips. Now, what's included with the program? We have our pre and post fam trips, and we're adjusting some of what you see there. Croatia's neighboring countries, most of them are in the Schengen zone. So unfortunately, as of today, we can't go over to Slovenia or Bosnia or down to Montenegro. But fortunately, there's so many things to do in Croatia. So we've got arrivals. We've got an opening welcome reception at the Revlin Club, which is built into the walls, the city walls of Dubrovnik. And did you know Dubrovnik was the first city to have a quarantine going back to the days of the medieval period and the knights? So, you know, this is a little bit nicer now because we don't have to quarantine if we meet those PCR requirements. But, you know, it's something that Dubrovnik has been familiar with over the years. And as we do things like the welcome reception, we are going to do things safely with distancing and with masks. And if we have to make these smaller groups, we're going to do that as well. That'll be the same on your transportation and everything that we're doing. We have our opening general session. You'll have some great destination education seminars. So many things about Croatia that are absolutely fascinating. We've got that trade show coming up. You're going to have some free time to explore Dubrovnik. You know, Europe has, as you know, these wonderful Christmas markets. Dubrovnik has a great one, and Zagreb, the capital, is supposed to have the best in all of Europe. Now, we're going to continue along with that on September 5th. Or December 5th. We've got our B2B meetings as well. Again, they will be safely done with distance. We have our sightseeing tour of Dubrovnik's old city. We've got the Game of Thrones themed tour. We can have some great opportunities to see and explore the city. And then some of the other sightseeing tours, you know, there's some tremendous wineries, olive oil farms, you know, oyster farms are a big deal in that area. You're going to have a chance to see those. Some of the ancient churches, the small villages. There's just so much to see and do. And of course, you know, the mountains back right up to the sea there. So it's such a beautiful area. Then we have our full day sightseeing tours. We'll have our closing event at the host hotels and our post-fam trips that are going to be going to different parts of Croatia. And if you've signed up for any of the FAMs that go to the countries we can't get into, we'll be making adjustments and changes to those, and we'll keep you posted. Now, we've got some absolutely great featured speakers. We have the Minister of Tourism of Croatia coming to see us, the Director of the Croatian Tourist Board, the U.S. Ambassador to Croatia, the Mayor of Dubrovnik, who I had a chance to meet right before I came back, very supportive, and the CEO of one of the largest tour companies as well over in Croatia. So what's included with your registration? We have special accommodation rates at our host hotel that include your breakfast, complimentary transfers into the airport to the host hotel in Dubrovnik. And again, people will be spaced out. There will be plenty of room. There'll be no crowding on any of the coaches, both on the transfers and all the tours. Your tours, half and full day, are complimentary. The education tips focused on selling the destination are going to be none better because you're dealing with the folks at the source. And as you meet with these top vendors, these are also the folks that are providing a lot of the cruise ship and tour excursions. So you'll be right with the source. And then you have the chance to experience this beautiful destination pre and post. And, you know, the nice thing about Croatia is, you know, the costs there are much more affordable than any other parts of Europe. You know, Italy is so beautiful, but Italy is not an inexpensive destination. Croatia has the same beauty, even similar food, but the prices are absolutely terrific as we get into Croatia. And as you can see, you know, the Game of Thrones, a lot of that was filmed and took place, and a lot of our tours will be themed in that area. And our educational journeys, you can see where we have our blue thumbs up, the ones that are taking place, are Zagreb to Dubrovnik, or vice versa. The one that's going to Zagreb, Slovenia, and Istria, you want to get to Istria, we won't get to Slovenia this trip. And then the Young Professional Society, we have their group going from Dubrovnik to Zagreb as well. So it's going to be a great opportunity to see the long coastline and the sights of this beautiful country. And like any place else, there are a lot of different regions with variations and differences that you'll learn about as you go to them. Now, because of our webinar today, our early bird rate had expired last week, but I don't think that would be very fair if we had a webinar today 5 days after it expired. So we're going to extend this out through the end of next week for you. If you're not registered, your cost is $349. Non-industry guests, $399. And then after October 16th, the rates go up. If anyone has any questions about any of this, please let me know. If you're not a member of ASTA, we'll include membership for you for an extra $199 to include your first year membership as well. Now, our hotel, and this is what I want to share with you, the Valimar La Croma in Dubrovnik. You know, the pictures are kind of much what you see is what you get. We're facing out to the sea. It's a very large resort. Our partners there, Linda and Vanya, did very well in choosing a resort, not knowing we were going to go into a pandemic. But if you look, you can see how spread out this entire resort is. This down here, this little area where you see these green lines, this is actually where the convention center is. And there's a full-size ballroom in there. So we'll be able to spread out 150 people very easily in a ballroom that holds 700 to 1,000 people. So there's plenty of room. And as you can see, there's plenty of room on this resort. Up here in these areas, these are outdoor terraces that are all great for receptions or meetings or moving about. And then, of course, we've got the pool in the front. And because we are in Croatia along the Adriatic, December is fairly temperate, a little bit like the southern coast of California. It's not going to get that overly cold. We have airline discounts for you with American Airlines and United Airlines and a lot of their partners. And we're also working with our friends at TravelWise, who are providing us with some discounts and good pricing on other carriers. The information is on asta.org on travel, on how you can contact them. And by using TravelWise, they'll be able to work with you through destinations like London and Frankfurt and even Warsaw, Poland. And looking at some of the questions, I know a lot of people have asked, you know, what's the best way to connect to get over there? And American Airlines has just started nonstop service to Dubrovnik, but that'll be next summer. So, you know, we won't be able to take advantage of that, but you will be able to go through these other countries. And one thing I want to mention to you, if you connect through most of Europe, of course, you have to stay within the customs zone. You can't go out of that. But if for any reason there's any kind of delay, I know that Paris and Amsterdam actually have hotels. One is a Yotel, I think the other is a Mercure, that are within that zone that you don't have to leave. So that's something to consider. And then, of course, Istanbul, if you take Turkish from one of their locations, you don't need to quarantine there. And people from the West Coast and other areas may even want to look at one of the Gulf carriers, Emirates or Qatar as well, because although they have quarantine issues, they do have hotels that you can stay at. So our partners here for the Destination Expo, that's Expo or Amcro Travel. That's Vanya and Linda. You may have met them already. They've worked with us closely on this. And then the City and County of Dubrovnik, the Dubrovnik Tourist Board, the Croatian National Tourist Organization, and our partners working with us on the tours and the meetings, Elite Travel and Hit Dalmatia. So at this point, you know, I want to be able to open this up for questions to everybody. Again, the dates are December 3 to 6, and the FAMs are 5 days pre and 5 to 7 days post. So at this point, Mia, do we have any questions from anybody that I can answer?
Yes, we do have a couple questions. The first question is, for the testing, is it 48 hours before you leave or 48 hours before you enter the country?
It is 48 hours before you enter the country. So, you know, that does put a bit of a wrinkle in there. And something you want to keep in mind if you're flying out, like I'm probably going to send my results in the day I leave. That way, you know, the results will be fresh and I'll get them while in transit. We are working on getting that 48 hours changed to 72 hours, but I don't have any information on that right now for you.
We have a couple questions regarding Lab 24 and the pricing of tests. Are travel advisors able to use Lab 24 outside of trips of Croatia, or is this just the rate for ASTA Destination Expo?
Well, you know, because they're working with travel companies and reselling, they will work with you on other tests that you may need or tests for your clients. You know, I'm looking at taking a personal trip over Thanksgiving down to the Caribbean. So I may use them because these tests are required. If anybody would like to contact them directly, email me at bob@asta.org and I'll connect you with their business development department that can assist you.
We have a question about someone who currently lives in France and wants to know, will they need to get a PCR test to enter Croatia since they're already in the EU?
That is a very good question. What I would recommend you do is go to the tourism website for Croatia and take a look, because it does break it down. And I know everything is constantly changing. I believe there's no problem from France, but you may want to look at what you need to do for returning to France. I know, for instance, in the UK, if you're in certain zones in Croatia, you've got to quarantine when you return.
Thank you, Bob. Someone wants to know, how far is the resort to Old Town Dubrovnik?
It's about a 15-minute drive. There's a public bus service that goes along the route, and the hotel has shuttles as well.
Perfect. We also have a question about someone who wants to stay at a different hotel, but still wants to come and join all of the activities. Is that a possibility, or do you recommend staying at our host hotel?
Well, of course, it's certainly a possibility. You know, normally we recommend people stay at the host hotel for just convenience. But, you know, in these times of COVID, I would really stress, I think it's a good idea to stay at the hotel. That way, should anything happen, at least you're in the hotel where the meals and everything is taken care of, and we're right there on site and able to assist you. If you're off site, you may not have anyone that's able to assist.
We have another question just asking about what kind of weather should people expect in Croatia in December, if you have any insight.
Yeah, you know, you're probably looking at 50s to 60s, with the possibility of extremes down to the 30s or up to the 70s. But it's fairly moderate, particularly because you're right on the Adriatic. So, you know, it really is not going to get that cold. But that being said, in the evening, things could cool off a bit. So you want to make sure you have a jacket, particularly if we go into town or we go to the Christmas markets.
We have a question just about like getting the results from the COVID testing. And will we have to print out a hard copy of our results? Can we show them on our phone? Can you give a little more insight into that?
Yeah, you're able to show them on your phone, as well as a printout, whatever you prefer. And what I would recommend you do, just in case you happen to lose a connection or something, when you get that result, take a screenshot of it and save it in your photos. So that way, at least, you know, you'll have it, you'll have a backup and not have to worry about Wi-Fi, which they have at the airport.
We have a question about, will our advisors who travel with us to Croatia have to be tested when we come back to the United States?
As of today, no. You know, it seems we've been moving a little bit more away from that. And I see that the U.S., I think in the last week or so, we're not even taking temperatures as people come back from another country. But that being said, I know before you board an airplane, they are going to take your temperature.
Perfect. Thank you. We do have a question about transfers to and from the airport, and if they are included with the registration fees.
Yeah, is there a specific question? They are included, and what we're going to be doing is collecting your flight information in the weeks leading up to the event, so we can make sure that we have everybody coordinated. And chances are, we're going to have a lot of people coming in on the same flights. And again, we will be socially distant as you're getting on those coaches. You're not going to be sitting, next to strangers or within 6 feet of people.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a question. I know you mentioned about Turkish Airlines and flying into Turkey. Someone asked, if I fly to Turkey first and then Croatia, will I need to do 2 tests?
Yeah, the bottom line to that is you need to have that negative result within 48 hours of arrival. The good news, if you're going to stop over in Turkey, is you can get a test at Istanbul Airport. Just make sure to go to the Istanbul Airport website and book the test so that you ensure you have it. Because what's going to happen if you get there and your test is not within 48 hours, they're probably going to require you to quarantine at our hotel, which is not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're healthy, because it is spread out and mostly everything's taking place there.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I think those are all the questions we have currently. Do you have any last things that you would like to say?
Well, I just want to thank everyone for being on the call. I know I'm personally looking forward to getting over there myself. And I'm really pleased we've been able to find that lab. But if anybody has any questions, please contact Mia or myself. Mia is Marcus, Marcus, at ASTA.org. I'm Bob at ASTA.org. And we've got a meeting tomorrow with our friends in Croatia, and we're looking forward to an absolutely wonderful, safe, and healthy event.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bob, for this wonderful presentation. I'm really looking forward to Croatia in December, and I hope you all are looking forward as well. I'd like to mention again that our early bird pricing has been extended until October 16th, so make sure to register to receive our lowest rate. As a reminder, this webinar was being recorded, so if you would like to listen to the presentation again, it will be available to ASTA members at ASTA.org. If you have any additional questions that we were unable to answer today, please email me, Marcus at ASTA.org, or meetings@asta.org, or you can also reach out to Bob as well. Thank you once again to everyone who has joined us, and this will conclude today's presentation. I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon.